Hello, this is Gayle, and I wanted to show you how I made these cute little teacups. I made some for my crop participants that come on. We have a crop once a month, and we've got one Saturday, so I thought I would make one for them. And so this is it, and I'm going to tell you how I did it. I started out with a piece of paper, and I'm choosing decorative paper. You can use solid paper, and then you can add decorative paper to it if you want, but I chose to start with a decorative paper. You want your paper to be 8 inches by 5.5 inches. And what you're going to do is turn it with the 5.5 inch up. And I've got it on my Martha Stewart scoreboard. And you're going to score at 1 1/8 and at 3 5/8. Then you're going to turn it. And then you're going to score it at 1 1/4, 2 1/2, 3 3/4, 5, 6 1/4, and 7 1/2. Now this is every 1 1/4. And I'm not going to need my bone folder anymore. The next thing I did is I removed the small squares, the rectangles here on either side, and just cut them on the score line and cut them out. And actually I wanted to do a little wedge. Didn't do that. So I'll cut my wedge in advance. I'm just going to cut just a little wedge here. There. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my envelope scoreboard, my envelope punch board rather, and on the end that has the 1 1/8 margin, I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to line up the edge with 1 1/8, which will put the punch right on your score line, and I'm going to punch. Then on every score line, I'm going to do the same thing. Line it up at 1 1/8 and punch. And I probably should move my, I'm just moving. Should move my scoreboard out of the way, especially since I don't need it anymore. Make it easier to punch. And see, you'll get this little hole right here. So let me keep doing that all the way across. Just every intersection where the horizontal lines meet the vertical lines. You want to punch with your envelope punch board. And then here at the end, you've got your little tab, but you're still going to want to punch that. So you go ahead and punch. Okay, so now I'm finished with that. So what I'm going to do now, actually here, if you look here, the little line that you cut, the tab on the end is now going to have a little place where your punch board cut into the tab, so you just cut that off like that. Now at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some score tape and I'm going to, this is on the longer side of the score lines. This is where the 3 5/8 was scored, and it's above that, just above it, maybe 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to put another one near the top, because what we're going to do with this is fold it in so that it gives some strength to the cup. So I'm going to pull that off, pull the backing off. If the sound sounds a little funny, I am in my dining room, which I've never used before for a video. Anyway, you fold that over, and see, now you've got a really sturdy piece of paper or cardstock. This is cardstock, but it feels like maybe 65 pounds. It's a lighter weight cardstock. So now what you're going to do is fold on these score lines, because eventually what you're going to do is make this round. And you're also, well, let me do something else too while I'm waiting. Well, before I go any further, I'm also going to take, I've got some 1/2 inch red liner tape that I'm going to use, or you can use, like, if you have a 1/4 inch score tape or whatever tape you choose to use 2 strips of that, but I had the 1/2 inch red liner tape, so I thought I would use it since it's cheap. You can get it at Tuesday Morning very cheap. And I'm also going to put it on the inside of this flap. And the reason I'm doing the inside, normally you would fold these and put this flap on the inside. That gives you a raw edge here. And then your inside, well, you can't tell it too much on this paper, but your inside doesn't match the flap. So you put the red liner on the inside of this. Just line it up with the edge here and then trim it off. So that's all you need that for. Now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut up into these, each one of these little holes made by your envelope punch board. Now you notice we only did 3 of those flaps, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So now what we're going to do, let me just make sure this is, should have kept my score tool out. Going to peel this up. And match up this edge so that your top is straight, and then fold that down. Now what that does, it covers up the raw edge, and believe it or not, this is where we're going to put our handle, so you'll not even notice that this seam is here. So then we're going to fold these back, your little flaps. Got it laying top down. And I'm going to take the middle flap that has the tape and pull the backer off. And I'm going to match them up, and see there's a wide square section on the end of each tab. If you line those up and then press them together, you know that you've got your, it's going to be straight. And I start with the middle because I just feel like doing the middle, and then each side will just make it stronger. It may not be, but that's just the way I think. So again, pull that backer off, take the one right across from it, and bring them up together, line them up, and press. And then you do the last one. There you go. So there's our little cup. And what I do, I was using art glitter glue. So what I did is I took the art, it's just about the right size, and I sat it down in there. But you can stick your crease tool. You can use a bone fold, any kind of bone folder or scoring tool, anything that will help you get in there and just make sure that all these are stuck together. So I'm going to set that aside. And then I'm going to take another piece of paper. Now here's where you have options. Well, let me go ahead and do these first. I'm going to cut, and what I needed actually was a 1 1/4 inch punch, but I don't have the 1 1/4 inch punch. I have 1 1/2. So my handle isn't quite, I'm sorry, I forgot to unlatch my handle. My cup handle is not going to be quite the size that it should be, but I'm going to make sure that I leave enough room. And I punched this, but I am going to use this. I'm going to use this on the bottom, but I'm also going to slide in my 2-inch scallop and line up my hole inside that where it's even. And punch that out. Now, if this hole was a 1 1/4 inch, it would be a much bigger handle. It'd be thicker. But since that's what I had, that's what I went with. And it seemed to work okay. See, here's the one I used, and I did that, and I think it did fine. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take some art glitter glue. Kind of dried a little bit on me before I put it away last night. So let me just poke it with the pen. I do use the little thin applicator top, so it doesn't take much for it to dry up. But just put a thin coat of art glitter glue. It is coming out, I think, finally. And be sure you replace your pen. I'm going to take this and I'm going to lay it on the bottom, and this just gives it a finished look on the bottom. And again, I turned it over and pressed my art glitter glue bottle down in there. This is a 4-ounce bottle, so it fits. If you don't have a bottle like that, you can take any kind of bottle. This is a pill bottle. Any kind of little, anything that's, well, that took my cup with it. Just anything that will attach this I don't think I got enough glue on it. And I think I'll do my little bottle that I have my pins in. I have hat pins and things like that. As long as it's flat. And that helped it. Okay, so there we've got a cup, and it appears that it's got a rounded bottom because these are not folded, real tight. So there's that. I'm just going to lay it on its side, and this is the side with the seam. I don't know if you can see or not, but there's a seam right here. And I'm going to lay that with the seam up. Then I'm going to take my handle. Now I found it's rather challenging, but it can be done, to take your handle and try to line it up with one of these curves. See, one of these curves here going out, lined up with one of your inch marks on your scoring board, and then just kind of, it's a little bit much to score, but you can press in on either side, 1/8 inch on either side, which works out to where it's just exactly in the middle. I mean, it works out, it's just right on the scallop. And then I'm going to fold the scallop that way. And then on the other side, I'm going to fold that. And that gives you your little handle. So again, we put some art glitter glue here in the center. You don't need a lot, but just maybe 2 scallops worth. And pinch those together. Just takes a second. And then put a little bit of the art glitter glue on your tabs on the ends. Put my pin back in my glue. And then I line it up right at the edge of that seam and right at the top. And you just hold it there for a minute. This glue dries very quickly. And then it dries clear, and then when it's dried, it is dried. But there's my little cup. Now what I did, this is one that I made. I also took Ghirardelli chocolates, and I poked a little hole. I don't have any more, or I'd show you, but I poked a little hole with my 1/16 punch. And then I put a staple on it. If you look at your tea bags, they have little staples. So I thought the stapler would look really good. So I poked a piece of twine or thread through the hole, tied a knot. See if you can see that. I don't know if the light is too good or not. And then on this side, I stapled it so it looks like a tea bag. And this is a ready-made tag that I used. Let me get those and I'll tell you what they are. They're awesome. But you get a zillion of them in your bag. They're called Yazzie Craft marking tags. And it doesn't say how many's in here, but it is a bunch. And so I've taken one sleeve out, and that's the one what I'm using now. But I just put a stamp on it. You are awesome. It's from my Fun Stamper's Journey. And then I put 2 different tea bags in each one, and this says a little something. And I'm going to put these both. If I were using this cup, I would put them in there. And there you go. There's my little teacup favor that I'm taking to my crop on Saturday. So for those of you that wanted me to do a tutorial, I tried to do a picture tutorial and it was just taking too much time. This one was much quicker. So I hope you like that. I will do any, if you have any other requests, anything that you'd like to see me do, just let me know. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.